Hi everybody, welcome back to my music channel. In today's video, I'm going to be doing a review on the much-awaited debut album by American Idol finalist Dalton Rapattoni called Nobody's Home. Before I get into the review, I just want to say something about the lighting in case it looks kind of strange. I just got a new LED light to start filming with, and of course the day that I'm starting to use it, it's completely gray outside. There's no source of natural lighting whatsoever, so in case it looks kind of strange, that's why I just have this one light to light up the whole room. So hopefully it looks okay. As I do with all my album reviews, I'm going to review each track individually, and then I'm going to give my overall thoughts about the album and some more details about the album at the end. So the first track is called Signs, and this is actually probably one of my lesser favorites on the album. I've grown to like it the more that I've listened to it, but I just think that some of the other tracks are better. Like, to me, it's a little bit basic. I've listened to Dalton's music that he did before he was on American Idol, and he's a really good songwriter on his own. I think all of the tracks on here he co-wrote, except for Would You Like That is the only one that he wrote by himself. But like, he wrote all these songs with other people, and I feel like if you've listened to his pre-Idol music, like when he was with Fly Away Hero and stuff like that, like a lot of his songs that he's written by himself are very well written. I think he's a really good songwriter, and so I just feel like Signs is a little bit basic for him, like with the kind of things that we know he can do. And I kind of felt that way throughout the whole album, but I just felt like this is a more commercialized version of something he would do, which makes sense. Like, I guess, you know, he'd be trying to appeal to like a wider audience coming off of Idol and stuff, but I feel like Signs is just a little bit basic. It's just kind of a middle of the road track for me. I don't really see myself listening to it that much like in the future. I think he has better songs than this one. Like, it's okay, I don't think it's a bad song, but I think he has ones that are better. The next track is Heaven, and I feel kind of the same way about this one that I do with Signs. I would say that Heaven is my least favorite track on the album. I don't think it's a bad song at all, but I have the same feeling about it that I do with Signs, where I just think it's kind of basic. And I also find the lyrics to be, like, I know that the song means a lot to him, so I don't want to say that, like, I think the lyrics are cliche, but, like, I do think the lyrics are kind of cliche and cheesy, and, like, the song itself just kind of isn't really anything super special to me. I know that it means a lot to him, but for me, it's just, like, it doesn't really do anything for me. The third track is called Back from the Moon, and this is one of my favorites. I just love, like, the whole outer space theme with it, with the lyrics. I think it's really creative, and I love the emotion that he puts into this when he sings it. I don't know if anybody else feels this way about the song, but I feel like Back from the Moon, when I listen to it, it has like this bittersweet kind of sound to it. He's talking about how much he loves this person, but like the girl doesn't want to be with him, and she's like off doing other things, and he's like saying, I'll be waiting here for you. There's something like bittersweet about it, how like he really misses her, but he's still like waiting for her. It's sad, but like in a good way, if that even makes sense. Back from the Moon is definitely one of my favorites, and I just love everything about the song. I love his vocals on it. I love the emotion that he sings with it. The next one is The Way You Do. This one is another one that's like okay for me. I think it's a good song, but I guess it's just one that I don't think I'd really listen to a lot, because like there's just other tracks on here that I like more. I think The Way You Do is really catchy, and it's really cute. Like, it's one of those kind of like adorable kind of songs. It's really cute. And if you've heard Dalton's other music, a lot of his music is actually quite dark. A lot of it's very angry actually, or sad. So The Way You Do is a very kind of pleasant surprise from him, because it's very happy and upbeat kind of. It's a different kind of song for him, and like it's more acoustic kind of sounding. I think it's just okay. Again, I don't think it's a bad song, but I just like some of the other ones more. The next one is Somewhere in America. If you've been following him for a while, you know that like he played this on one of his first tours coming off of Idol. So this was like one of the first new songs that we heard that was going to be on the album. I love Somewhere in America so much. It might actually be my top favorite from the album. It's really hard for me to pick an overall favorite, but Somewhere in America is definitely one of them, if not my absolute favorite. When I heard it on tour, I thought it was great, but the studio version is amazing as well. The songwriting is amazing. I really love the fact that he like paid homage to his Idol journey, because a lot of people who go on Idol, they don't really like to talk about it that much, or they at least like don't write songs about it and stuff. So I think it's really cool that he wrote a song kind of paying tribute to that, and like he's talking about like going on TV just to like get this girl to pay attention to him, so it's kind of like a funny story. I love all the metaphors of like TV that are in there, like when he says, I wonder if you know I use these cameras as tools in the hopes to get back into your living room. Are you on the same channel as me? I think it's a really cool concept for a song. I think the production is top notch. It has like this really cool kind of industrial vibe to it, I think. Like, even though the whole album is like a combination of pop and rock and alternative and stuff, I feel like there are some elements of like more industrial stuff going on. Like, if you listen really carefully in the background, you'll hear like all these little things going on that really adds, it's such a small thing, but it adds so much to the overall vibe, I guess, of the song. I really hope they might like release it as a single or try to push it to radio or something, because I think it's so stunning. I think it's just like, it's one of those songs that I feel like when you hear it, it really stands out a lot and you're like, whoa, that was a great song. Like, I feel like it has a very powerful effect, and it's one of the true standouts on the album. Like, some of the other ones that I mentioned before, they're like nice songs, they're like okay, but I feel like Somewhere in America really, really stands out. The next one is Turn to Stone, and this was actually the first single, I think, off the album, like a whole year before the album came out. But this version on here is actually a little bit different than the initial single version that they released. The ways that I've noticed that it's different from the original single version, I think the piano, they put more reverb on the piano, and they also took out all of the background vocals. Like, he did his own background vocals, but they took out all of the extra vocals, so it's just like his one vocal over the whole song. And they also changed a couple of the musical parts in the bridge, I think, too. So the changes to it are really subtle. I do appreciate the fact that they acknowledged that they had already released this song a whole year ago and that everybody already has it. So, like, to put it on the album again is like giving people two copies of the same song, and I hate it when artists do that. So I like that they at least did acknowledge that, and they tried to like change it so that it's not like you have the same version. I can't decide which version I like more, to be honest. I think the song itself, initially I kind of was like on it, but I actually have grown to like it a lot. I think it's a really relatable song, and it's got really strong emotion in it. It's really beautifully written. I think anybody going through this situation of losing a loved one would be able to relate to it. The next track is called Being Young, and this is one of the brand new ones that we hadn't heard at all, like on tour or anything like that. And it's absolutely one of my favorite songs. I think that's a common sentiment throughout his whole fan base that I've seen, is Being Young is one of the really popular ones that people seem to like a lot. I was a little bit surprised when I first heard like the 30-second preview of it on Amazon. I was surprised at how pop it is. I was surprised at how pop a lot of the songs are, but this one in particular was kind of interesting to me. And the more that I listened to it, the more that I grew to love it. And I was like, I need to hear the whole thing. I like could not wait to hear the whole version of it. I only have one criticism about the song. It's not even about the song itself, it's the mixing. I don't know if anyone else has this issue, or maybe it's just me, but whenever I listen to this song, just this one song, the verses seem like they're very quiet and then the chorus is very loud. So it's almost like there was something with the mixing that was off, because like I don't have that issue with any of the other songs where the verses are like drastically quiet in comparison to the chorus. It's only this one song where I have that problem, and it's a shame because the verses are really good. So it's like sometimes when I'm listening to it, I feel like I have to turn my volume up on the verses and then bring it down when the chorus comes, because otherwise it would like make my ears explode. So I don't understand why. Like, maybe that's just me. Like, maybe no one else feels that way about it, but I feel like there's something off with the mixing on that track where it's like for some reason the verses are very quiet. But otherwise, I love the song. I think a lot of people love the whole Peter Pan reference, which is really cool. It's very relatable to millennials, especially because I feel like I do relate to the lyrics in this song where he's talking about like, you know, I just want to skip ahead in my life and find out like what the heck happens. Like, do I ever actually like get myself together and, you know, do things with my life and stuff? And like I wonder that all the time. I'm like, can I just like skip ahead in the future and find out like what actually happens to me? I'm a couple of years older than Dalton is, so like we're about the same age, so I definitely relate to that same kind of sentiment that he's talking about in the song. And then musically, I love that it has like, it's got a very like 80s-ish kind of vibe. Like the whole album has a very like 80s and 90s kind of influence, which he did say in an interview somewhere. He said that he was inspired by the 80s and 90s to make this album, and I think that definitely comes across in these songs. The next one is Growing Older. He wrote this with the lead singer of Blue October, which is one of his favorite bands, so I think that's really cool that he got to write with somebody he admires so much. And I think it's kind of funny. I mean, they obviously did this on purpose, but I think it's funny that they have that juxtaposition where the previous track is called Being Young, where he's complaining about wanting to grow up, and then the next track is called Growing Older, and it's about how, like, he wants to stop time and everything is moving too fast and he wants to, like, go back in time and stuff. So I think it's kind of funny that it has, like, that juxtaposition there. But again, I totally get it, especially being, like, the age that we are. I get that feeling all the time where it's like you do want to grow up, but then at the same time you don't, and so it's kind of like that conflicting feeling. So I get that totally makes sense why they put those two tracks together like that. Growing Older has a really, really 80s rock vibe to it. I think Growing Older is really catchy. The lyrics, to me, don't really sound like something he would write, knowing what his writing style is like. I'm glad for him that he was able to write with somebody that he looks up to. And I really hope he'll play this and Being Young on the next tour. I think they'd be so much fun in concert live. The next one is Trust Nobody. This is an interesting one. If you're like an old school Dalton fan, or if you went back and listened to his older music, a lot of his fans have probably heard the original demo of Trust Nobody. But this version has been completely reworked from that demo version. You can find the demo version just somewhere on YouTube. Somebody has it. The demo version is so different from the version that's on here. He wrote the song after he broke up with this girl, which is the same girl that he writes about in all these songs. So he wrote it after a bad breakup, so it's very moody. It's very dark, piano, cynical lyrics. The lyrics are very well written also. This Trust Nobody is one of my favorite Dalton songs. And this version, it's the same lyrics, but there's like a couple changes to the lyrics that make it less like angry. And it's very pop, very upbeat, very dance, and like I don't know if I'd go so far as to say it's EDM, but it's kind of veering in that territory. And again, it's got that kind of industrial sound to it. When I first heard it, I was like, oh no, don't change it. It's such a great song the way it is. And I think a lot of fans were disappointed that he was changing it so much. But once I heard the 30-second preview from Amazon of the pop version, and I was like, I don't know. But when I heard like the whole version of it, I actually really like it. Admittedly, I actually really love the new version. I'm not sure, again, which version I like more. They're both pretty awesome in their own ways. Like, they're so different. You can't really compare them. The song is great either way. Like, it's very well written and everything. I actually really like the new version a lot more than I thought I was going to. So I suggest if you really are a fan of, like, the demo version and you're like, I don't like this new version, it's so different, I feel like give it a chance and like really listen to it and appreciate it for what it is. I would be really interested to know why he changed it so drastically. I say just appreciate whatever the reason was why he changed it. Just appreciate what he was going for, appreciate what they were trying to do with it, appreciate it for what it is, and I think that's how you can really enjoy it. The next track is called Stay Up With Me, and this was one of the original songs that we heard on one of his first tours coming off of Idol. Ever since I heard it, I was really hoping it would be on the album. Unfortunately, there were some songs, I'll get into this later, but there were some songs that we heard that did not make the album. So I was like, Stay Up With Me, please make it on the album, and I'm so glad it did, and I'm so glad he kept it. It's so different for him. Like, again, he doesn't really write upbeat songs, so this is like kind of a pleasant surprise from him. When I first heard it on the tour, I was very surprised at how almost like dancey, kind of urbanish or something. There was something about it that I was like very surprised at the sound that he went for with it, but I actually really like it a lot. That guitar solo, when I heard it on the tour, he had a musician named Leah who was the guitar player, and I felt like the way that she played it on the tour was awesome. It was like very smooth and like sexy. Like, it really emphasized the sexy vibe of the song. I wish that that's how they had done it on the album here, but I also have grown to appreciate the way that the solo was played on the album here. It's actually, the solo here is played much more like rockish, and like more, not staccato, but like short spurts instead of like drawn out the way that Leah did it. I think the solo is awesome no matter how it's played. I think it really adds so much to the song and just makes it like, brings it to like another level of like epicness. I've seen a lot of people say that it's like one of their least favorites. I'm not really sure why. It is a little bit repetitive, I guess, but I just love it. I think it's my third favorite. Like my top 3 favorite songs in no particular order would be Somewhere in America, Being Young, and Stay Up With Me. So like between those 3, I can't really decide which one is my favorite, but Stay Up With Me is definitely in there. And then the last track is Would You Like That? And this was, I think, the first original song from the album that he like ever showed us, because he sang it at a couple shows of like the very first tour he did after he came off of Idol. To be honest, when I first heard it live, I didn't really care for it. I think the lyrics are overly simplistic for what I know he can do with his writing, and a lot of people were like kind of turned off by like the extreme graphicness actually of the lyrics. The lyrics are very graphic, very kind of uncomfortable to listen to, actually very painful, but that's like the point of the song. So yeah, I wasn't honestly a fan of it at all when he was performing it live. Then when I heard the studio version, I love the studio version. It's still probably not one of my more favorite tracks. Like I don't envision myself listening to it on repeat like I would with like Being Young, Growing Older. You know, those songs are like ones you can like put on over and over again. But Would You Like That? I don't think I would listen to it over and over again and be like, yeah, this is so amazing. But I do think I can envision myself listening to it when I actually just want something quiet and like calming, which sounds strange because the song is like so dark and painful. I think what really turned it around for me to make me like it is the production and the overall performance of the song. They put a lot of reverb on his vocal to make it sound like as if he were singing in like a cathedral or something. It has like that extreme echo going on, which again really enhances the experience of listening to the song. I think his vocal performance is stunning. Like Dalton always says like he's not the greatest singer, and like yeah, he's not like the best singer ever, but I think he's better than he gives himself credit for. But I think he sounds fantastic singing this, and I'm gonna say more about his vocals in a second, but I think his vocals on this song in particular, it's got to be one of his best vocal performances ever. And I think he really does an amazing job emoting the song. Like, again, it's got that kind of, like you can really feel his pain while he's singing this. And the song, a lot of people, I guess, maybe didn't really get what the song was supposed to be about. The song has kind of a weird meaning. At first, it seems like it's a love song because of the lyrics. Like, he's saying, I would die for you and all this stuff. But then, like, when you really read into it, he's like, I would burn myself for you. I would die for you. Would you like that? And it's actually, like, passive-aggressive in a way. It's like saying, you know, like, what do you want from me? Do you want me to, like, kill myself over you? Would you like that? It's actually being kind of sarcastic and like passive aggressive in a way, because he's talking about this like unhealthy kind of abusive relationship that he was in. That's where it came from. So it's interesting. The concept and the meaning of the song is really interesting. I think they did a really good job with the production aspect of it. If you notice, like if you listen really carefully to the instruments and stuff in the background, everything kind of builds as the song keeps going, which also makes sense. Like with the concept of the song, it's about this relationship where the anger just keeps building and building and building. So it kind of like goes along with what the song's talking about. The other tracks that are on here, those are all the like original songs that are on here. Then he included 4 acoustic tracks. He has acoustic versions of Signs, Heaven, The Way You Do, and Somewhere in America. I don't have much of a comment on these because they don't really sound like that different from their original versions. I think they're nice, but I don't think they were absolutely necessary to include. I'm not really sure why they decided to include them. I would have honestly rather had like 4 other songs. Like there were a lot of songs he played on tour and stuff that did not make the album. Like everybody loved Sugar Free. Everybody's like, where's Sugar Free? I love Sugar Free. I wish it had been on the album, but at the same time, I can understand why it wasn't, because I don't think it would have fit And I think that's why a lot of those songs didn't make the album, like Open Book, which I guess is going to be on a deluxe version or something. But like Open Book, Sugar Free, Holy Man, like there were so many songs he played that I really wish had been on the album, but I understand why they weren't, because I don't think they would have like fit with the overall vibe of the album. I would have rather had like 4 new songs than acoustic versions of 4 songs that are already on here. Plus 3 of them are songs that I'm like, they're okay. Like they're not even like my favorite songs anyway. I think that the acoustic version of Signs and Heaven, they're really nicely done. Like I think they're all really nicely done. And you can tell that he actually re-recorded them, because sometimes what artists do now with like acoustic versions of songs is that they actually leave the vocal track the same and they just re-record the instrument part, which is like kind of a lazy, cheaper way of doing it. So I actually appreciate that you can tell he like actually redid the whole song, and they sound nice. Like I think they really bring out the emotion more in the song. And, like, they're really nice, but I think kind of not necessary to have, and I don't really see myself ever listening to them again, to be honest. But I appreciate that he wanted to, like, kind of put the effort in, I guess, for that. So I got a physical copy of the album from Pledge Music. I went for the autographed copy. So I'm going to show you some more detail of what it looks like in case you're curious. So this is the album cover, Nobody's Home. When I first saw it, I was like, I wasn't sure if I was a fan of the fact that his like face is in the house, but now that I've looked at it more, I actually really like it. I guess originally he wanted to only have the house and not himself on it, but his management wanted him to put himself on the cover. So that was kind of the compromise, I guess, to have him like in the house. But yeah, I think the album cover is really well designed. I don't know who did that. I'm assuming Dalton had some say in how the album cover was designed, but I think whoever did it did a really great job. You can kind of see how it's like, it's nighttime, obviously. But then like this little area right here is like a sunset kind of. So I like how it reminds me of like a sunset in the summertime, if that even makes sense. And like I feel like the album cover really depicts the overall vibe of the album very well, if that makes sense. Like again, like I was saying, with some of these songs, I feel like they have a bittersweetness to them, where it's like they're kind of sad, but like in a good way, if that even makes any sense at all. And I feel like that's kind of what this cover looks like. It kind of looks like as though like the day is fading away into night, but like there's still some daylight left, and it's like it's kind of sad or something. I don't know. I have no way of explaining it that makes any sense. I hope people get what I mean. Maybe you feel the same way, but that's just what I get from it. And I like that in case you don't know, the album title and his name are written in Dalton's own handwriting. So that's his actual handwriting, which is really cool. I feel like he gives it a personal touch. And that's his autograph right there. DLR is his autograph. Especially because he did this album independently. I feel like the album packaging in general is actually better designed than like a lot of covers that I've seen from like major label artists. This is like the inside. So he has liner notes with a thank you there, and then this is just like details about the production. It comes with a booklet with lyrics in it and some really beautiful pictures. It's nice that they have the lyrics in here so that you can follow along, and it tells you like who the writers of all the songs were. So the disc just has the same design as the album cover, and this is the back cover with the track listing on it. I really appreciate all the effort that went into making these. It's so beautifully packaged. Like I said, it's better than like most major label albums that I've seen. So my overall thoughts about the album, I think for a debut album, it's really good. Like I know that he spent a really long time working on it. He recorded the album like twice or something like that. And he was trying all different kinds of songs. There was a disagreement between him and the management about like what songs should be on it. So it took them a long time to find something that everybody was happy with. Overall, I'm really happy actually with the product. I think he did a really good job considering that it was done independently. He had to kind of compromise in some areas. I think he's a really great songwriter on his own. I felt like sometimes with some of these songs, writing with other people kind of took away from some of his own talents. I'd say Nobody's Home is kind of like the commercial pop version of what Dalton does. Still very good. I feel like he improved so much as a vocalist in the time between Idol and recording this album. The production is solid all across the board. If you listen really carefully, especially with like a good pair of headphones, you can hear like a lot of little details of things. I like all those little industrial bits going on in the background. I'd recommend getting it if you haven't already, if you are a Dalton fan, or just like if you like alternative pop or like 80s pop rock kind of stuff. There's something on here for everybody. You can get it on Pledge Music. There's like different packages you can get. I got the autographed copy, iTunes. You can get it on Amazon. It's not available in stores because he did it independently. In order to put the album like physically in stores, he would have had to have like a distribution deal. And because he's an independent artist, he doesn't have all that. So the album is not available at all in stores anywhere as of yet. For now, you can get it if you want a physical copy. Pledge Music or Amazon is probably the way to go for that. And then digitally, iTunes, Amazon, Google Play. And you can also stream it on Spotify and I think on his YouTube channel. That sums up my review of Nobody's Home by Dalton Rapattoni. Comment down below to tell me what you think of Dalton's album. He did overall a really great job on the album, especially considering he did it independently. There was so much effort put into this, and he is a super talented singer and songwriter and performer. I've had the pleasure of seeing him in concert a couple times and also meeting him. He is so sweet and down to earth and just a great guy overall. Please do yourself a favor and check out his album. I think you'll really enjoy it whether you're a fan or not. Thanks for watching my review, and I hope to see you in my next video.